What's the first thing you do when you walk through your front door? You close it, you lock it, you exhale. That threshold, that thin piece of water metal, separates two worlds. Out there, danger, strangers, weather, chaos. In here, safety, warmth, the people you love. A roof over your head and walls around your body are so basic, so ordinary that you barely notice them. But for most of human history, a door you could close was an impossible dream. This is the story of shelter, how we went from shivering under rock ledges to building towers that scrape the sky, and how the walls we built didn't just protect us from the cold, they changed what it meant to be human. Our earliest ancestors didn't build, they borrowed. For hundreds of thousands of years, we were cave dwellers. Not because caves were comfortable, they were dark, damp, and already occupied by bears and lions, but because they were there, a ready-made roof, a wall that already existed. Caves gave us something nothing else could: permanence, a place to return to, a place to bury our dead, a place to paint our stories on the walls. The oldest known cave painting is over 45,000 years old, found in Indonesia, a handprint, a pig. Someone stood in the dark, held their hands against cold stone, and said, "I was here." That was the first signature on the first home. But caves were rare. Most landscapes didn't have them. If we wanted to spread across the planet, into the grasslands, the forests, the frozen tundra, we needed to build. Around 400,000 years ago, someone did something extraordinary. They took branches from a tree. They stuck them into the ground in a circle. They tied them together at the top. They covered the frame with leaves and bark and animal hides. The hut was born. It was flimsy, it leaked, it would collapse in a strong wind, but it was a human creation, a shelter that existed because someone imagined it first and then built it with their hands. That act, imagining a structure that doesn't yet exist and making it real, is the foundation of all architecture. Every skyscraper, every cathedral, every bridge began the same way, with a mind that looked at empty ground and saw a home. The next leap came when we stopped moving. For most of human history, we were nomads. We followed the animals, the seasons, the water. A hut was temporary, a few weeks, a few months, then abandoned. But around 12,000 years ago, something changed. We began to settle. Agriculture meant staying in one place, and staying in one place meant building something that would last. In the ancient city of Jericho, over 11,000 years ago, humans built a stone tower, a massive circular structure that still stands in part today. It wasn't a home, it was a wall, a fortification. The first permanent architecture wasn't about comfort, it was about fear. Fear of other people, fear of what comes in the night. We built walls to keep the dangerous world out, and in doing so, we created a new kind of space, the inside. The inside was a revolution. Before walls, everything was public. Eating, sleeping, arguing, loving, all of it happened in full view of the group. Privacy didn't exist. Solitude didn't exist. But a room, even a tiny room, changed that. You could close your eyes without someone watching. You could speak in whispers. You could be alone with your thoughts. Some archaeologists believe that the invention of the room actually changed the way we think, that privacy created the conditions for introspection, for the deep, private self that we now take for granted. A wall is not just a physical structure, it is a boundary between the self and the world. Then came the materials that made architecture permanent. Sun-dried mud brick was invented around 10,000 years ago in the Middle East. It was cheap, abundant, and surprisingly strong. You could build an entire village with nothing but mud, water, and sunshine. Stone came next. Around 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians were cutting and transporting limestone blocks weighing tons. The Great Pyramid was the tallest human-made structure on Earth for nearly 4,000 years. And then the Romans did something miraculous. They invented concrete. Roman concrete, a mixture of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater, was so durable that some Roman harbors and aqueducts still stand today, 2,000 years later. They used it to build the Pantheon, whose dome is still the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. Concrete, glass, and steel. These three materials built the modern world. But architecture wasn't just about materials, it was about meaning. A Gothic cathedral reaches towards heaven because the people who built it believed that height equaled holiness. A Japanese tea house is small and humble because it was designed for a ceremony about simplicity and presence. A glass skyscraper says, "We are transparent, modern, powerful." Every building tells a story about the people who built it, what they feared, what they loved, what they believed. In the 19th century, the elevator changed everything. Before the elevator, buildings were limited by how many stairs a person could climb. 5 floors, maybe 6. The top floors were the cheap ones. Nobody wanted to walk that far. The elevator inverted the world. Suddenly, the top floor was the penthouse. The view was a luxury. The sky was the limit. And then came steel. Steel frames meant you didn't need thick stone walls to hold the building up. Buildings could be lighter, taller, stronger. In 1885, the Home Insurance Building in Chicago, just 10 stories, was the world's first skyscraper. Today, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai is over 800 meters tall. It takes your ears popping in the elevator just to reach the top. From a mud hut that reached barely 2 meters to a tower that touches the clouds in 10,000 years. And yet, the most important room in human history is not the throne room or the cathedral or the penthouse. It's the kitchen. For most of human history, the fire was at the center, the hearth. It was where we cooked, yes, but it was also where we gathered, where we told stories, where we warmed our hands and our hearts. Even today, when you host a party, where does everyone end up? In the kitchen. The hearth is still the soul of the home. We just don't burn wood in it anymore. Today, more than half of all humans live in cities. The city is the most complex structure our species has ever built. Millions of people stacked and layered, living in boxes of concrete and glass. It's an extraordinary achievement and a profound challenge. Because for billions of people, shelter is not a comfort, it's a crisis. Over 1 billion people live in inadequate housing, slums, shantytowns, tents, the street. The same species that built the Pantheon and the skyscraper still can't put a roof over every head. The question of shelter is not just an architectural question, it's a moral one. But there is hope. Architects are designing homes that can be printed in a day, using giant 3D printers that extrude concrete in layers, building a house the way a spider builds a web. These homes are cheap, fast, and strong. Others are looking to the past, building with rammed earth, bamboo, and timber, materials that breathe, materials that don't poison the planet. The oldest building material on Earth, mud, is making a comeback because it turns out that mud is one of the most sustainable materials we have. And some are looking even further. NASA is seriously studying how to build shelters on the moon and Mars, shelters that will protect the first humans who live and die on another world. Shelter is the first thing we think about when we're lost in the woods. It's the last thing we let go of when everything falls apart. It is the backdrop of every childhood memory, every quiet morning, every stormy night. A home is not just a building, it's the place where you are known, where you are safe, where you can close the door and be yourself. Tomorrow morning, when you walk out your front door, look back at it for just a moment. That wall, that roof, that threshold. It took us 400,000 years to learn how to build that. And we're still learning. If this made you look at your home a little differently, subscribe, because next week we're going deep on medicine, how we learned to fight death itself, from herbal remedies to vaccines, and how a few discoveries doubled the human lifespan. See you there.